So this is the second build status for the TestStar. What you're looking at here is the home page, and basically it's just listing out the unit tests and web test assemblies that I have configured for this site. So right now I basically have two test assemblies that I'm working on just as to help me. One is this data importer, and the other is a self-test for Sitecore or TestStar. Now, there isn't anything in the self-test. That's the last piece that I have to do before I'm ready to release it. But I'm just putting it in there. I'm almost ready. It's almost ready for the marketplace here. So I do have one web test. This is actually going to be built in, and these are general purpose. Anyone can use them web tests. They're pinging. They get your sitemap and hit all the links. It checks your IP. It checks redirects. Yes, redirects. So they're just useful. I've found them useful. I thought they could be general purpose. Plus, it'll give you an idea of how to implement your own in your own environment. All right, so let's take the guided tour. So the first step up is the unit tests. Not much has changed from the last presentation here. But let's say if you were going to run some tests, what you should notice here is that on the right, the results are giving you a percentage indicator to let you know how much of the tests that are running have to run left. So it gives you just a little bit of feedback so that you're not waiting and not sure what's going on. Otherwise, the results are showing the same information. It's just telling you the method that was run and any message beyond that. Now, the next thing I've got wired up is this generate script, which I really like. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I've got this test configuration the way I want it, and I want to be able to automate this. I hit generate script, I give it a name and generate, and it creates a file, tells me it's successful, and it gives me the file path so I can go and look at it. What I'm going to do is actually go and look at it now so you can see it and get an idea of what it is that it looks like, because it's really just a short PowerShell script. And the way that it's working here is that it's, instead of going to an executable and trying to run the environment, what it's going to do is it's going to go and hit this site here, this TestStar site, and hit a web service on it. And the reason that it's going to do that is because when it goes to hit that site, it's going to go through IIS, and IIS is going to fire up the environment, and you're going to have the availability of Sitecore and any other thing that you need to be able to test against. Because although, you know, I'm not going to say that you should write code that requires the use of Sitecore, that can't be tested without Sitecore. Sometimes you're like me and you just have legacy code that does, and you need to be able to test it anyway. So this is going to be able to do that for you. And let's just go through this quickly, this PowerShell script. So it's building a test array, basically. That's a hash table, and here it has just a list. So it starts adding these two tests to this list, and then it adds this list to an array for this assembly here. Then it's going to take this URI, which you can change that. This is just the default local URL, and you can set it to the prefix that you need for however you want to configure your own environment. Now you have the handler path here. It's going to go through and create a proxy, and then it's going to loop through each of these, the hash table and the array, and build a list of errors. If there are any, it's going to tell you how many, and then it's going to exit with code 1, or if there aren't any, it's going to exit with code 0. And this is for use with continuous integration so that you can get the proper error codes from this. Okay, so now that you have that, you can take this PowerShell script, and of course you can wire it to a continuous integration, or you can do it to you know, your daily a daily test script on your machine, or however you want to configure it, or whatever you need it to do. But basically, you can design a a set of tests and then automatically run those sets of tests through this PowerShell script. All right, so let's jump back into the browser. We'll jump into the web testing. So web testing hasn't changed much from before. Now basically you have these environments and they're a prefix for your URL. So I'm going to go local here. These systems are groups of sites, and you can see which system each site belongs to below it. If I click Sitecore, it gives me these two sites. And then if I were to select all 4 of these tests and then hit run, you're going to see this on the right side here, just running through these tests and telling me when they're finished. And you'll have different errors. For this, I'm trying to hit the sitemap test, and it's telling me that there was no sitemap found. This was skipped because the environment isn't supported. This here, the status code for a redirect should be 301 or 302, but it was 200. So I was hitting the wrong thing. Skipped. I want to have a success here. Skipped, failure, and my IP. It was expecting basically an empty string, and it was actually 127.0.0.1. So I have a nice little environment here to run my web tests. Again, once I get the test system set up the way I want it, then I can generate a script from it and run that automatically. The next thing that I didn't have before that I'm really happy about that I do have now is the test results page. The test results is giving you every test that gets run through this system is being logged into this site and stored in content. And this is basically just showing me in a list form. So it's breaking it down by day here. You can see the date. It's breaking it down by test further. So this is a unit test. So this is a test category, and any methods within that category are going to be displayed right here. So it's going to tell you the time, it's going to tell you the status of that test, and it's going to tell you the test method. So these here were successful. My provider tests kept running into errors. They have a object reference not set. So I at least know, there was an error. Here the sitemap test, there was a failure, and it tells me there's no sitemap found. So I have a nice list here of all the tests that I've been running, broken down in a nice, easily digestible way, and broken down by day, by test, all that. And this area is actually paged because you don't want an infinitely scrolling list. So you can jump back and forth between the pages. And the nice thing here also is there is an RSS page. So this list is also fed to an RSS so that you can have your tests running automatically every day, and you can see the results while you're, in my case, on the T writing the work to see if I have had any problems within the last day, because I have my series of tests running pretty much every day. So that, even though I'm testing myself manually, there's also something testing just on a daily schedule so that I can, in case I'm out for the weekend or whatever, for any reason, there's still tests being run, and I can get an update. Maybe content broke the site, maybe something else, who knows? But at least I'll know about it, and I'll have a record of it. And if I see that there was errors, I can go back into the source code and try to figure out at the appropriate date and time what it was that actually broke that or caused that error. All right, so that's the TestStar. It's looking pretty good. Like I said, all I've got left is the self-testing and maybe some cleaning up a few things here and there, but otherwise I'm getting really close to releasing this. So the next video will probably be just me walking through the install and showing how to use it again maybe, and then showing you how to build your own web and unit tests on it and configuring it. So actually, let me walk through one last thing, which is the Sitecore content tree, so you can see it running. Let's see if I can shrink this down a little bit. make it a little bigger on the screen. All right, so you have this home, you have the unit, web test, results, the RSS page. That's all what you would expect. But here's the content. So the environments here are built by me. Sites here, same thing, and you can see how these tree structure is building a system and then the sites underneath it. Test results here are being stored chronologically. And then once a set of tests is run, so this extensions test is created, any further tests by the extension test is filled out underneath here. So they just get added in the order that they will run. And everything here has dates. So all this information is being stored. I actually have basically moved all the text for the site, like all the navigation buttons, the headers, all the errors into content so that you can translate them if you need to. These here. So that's just one thing I've been trying to get into more so that the tool itself can be used by more people. I've got here, this is where you end up defining your unit test assemblies. So when working with this TestStar, you're going to actually do a fair amount of setup, but it's all going to be through content. And then you're going to write your tests and code. And that's really all there is to it. You don't have to do all the environment, the system, the setup. The rest of that is all kind of inherent in this tool. And that's really what this tool is, that it's a system to run these sites and store test history and be able to, automate that testing. All right, so I think that's it. That's all I've got for you, but I'm really excited. I'm really close to pushing this out the door. Hopefully it'll get a little bit of a user adoption at first. Somebody can test it out and kick the wheels a little bit. All right, so I'll let you know when it's ready to be downloaded. Thanks.